Do not attempt to adjust your speakers. The sounds that you're about to hear are various sounds that come from a human's mouth. So this is what we came with.
Of our last one, like in terms of.
Yeah.
Oh, and have you seen that episode? So you haven't. So you don't
No,
know.
I haven't. I don't know shit. You guys, I only recently started. I drive around without the music on.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had the girls in the back, and you just don't realize how much I haven't listened to music in like a long time. And then I got onto my crime podcast only like a month ago because that was like better than having Netflix on the background versus a podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast is better for editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm terrified of everything, but here we are.
No, I'm terrified of everything.
Everyone's gonna kill me.
All right. Ready? Rolling?
Awesome.
So just so you get an idea, you guys can roll. Just so you get an idea of what the goal is, overrated or underrated, right?
Okay.
So certain traditions of a wedding, you got to go through underrated or overrated.
Got it.
Got
We'll
it?
give you one or two if you go properly rated.
Yes.
Like if you're like,
yeah, you can go.
it's not really overrated. Like this is.
I think
it is
properly
what
So
rated.
I know you're gonna make fun of me, but like, meaning like when you say underrated, like we're talking about like it actually plays a bigger part in the role. It's actually more important than we.
Yeah.
Or it
say
has
it is.
happened.
Oh,
Like you're like if I said X tradition about it, like I don't know, one that's not on there, it would be like first look.
okay.
First look, overrated or underrated?
Oh my God, I'm gonna suck at this. Like, what do you? But when I say over, this is too hard for me. When I say overrated, meaning like it's not that important.
Yeah, you're like, it's not that. It's like people hype the first look up big time. It's overrated. Like
Oh.
it's not. We're like, no, like people need to do more first look. It's underrated. Like,
Well, I mean, in that situation, I like doing first look before the ceremony. So like, I'm a hyper. Like,
So you think
underrated.
it's underrated?
Yeah.
That's it.
Underrated.
and that's okay. And
because-
that's for you. And this is your perspective. And that's why I wanted
yeah.
your
Okay.
perspective.
Okay.
Us
I understand, I
schmoes
know.
All right.
over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 11. Part two. Well, episode
sorry.
10, part 2, if you want to consider that, but episode 11. We still have the wonderful Danielle Weeb. It's gonna take me a while
Did you
to
guys,
say
if you guys
Weeb.
were listening, we were just prepping her. We
Yeah.
were just prepping
Yeah.
her.
We were just
We're
so
going on.
it's gonna take me a little while to get used to Danielle Weeb. Or are you gonna keep it Danielle Polatic Photography, or are you gonna go Danielle Weeb? Photography?
You know what? I'm gonna separate it.
Yeah.
So in the classroom, because actually I'm still a full-time teacher, I'm gonna be Weeb because I think it makes sense. And then the business side, I think I'm gonna keep it Platic. Yeah.
Fair enough.
The reasoning, I just want to separate it because I want to get more into like boudoir and stuff, and I just feel like that's a fair separation. It
That's
makes
good.
sense in
That's
my
good.
mind. But
Yeah, that's cool. But yes, I think it's gonna take a little while to see, even on Facebook or Instagram, I'll just see Danielle Weeb. I'm like,
Who the heck is this? My cousin just got married, and it was Nicole, and she sent me a message, just asked me a question. I'm like, who the hell is this? And it was because she's got a new last name now. So I'm like, I don't even know who my own cousin is. So,
Cool.
Ronnie's looking up stuff. I want to do the intro for this.
Yes.
So we've had some really awesome feedback from our episode, Overrated, Underrated. Maybe it's because the takes were hot. Maybe it's because we're actually hilarious. Maybe
think
it's
it's the second
because
part.
now we're at like 9 or so episodes in that it's actually like, you know, you guys are actually watching now, or not. But it was very, very fun for us to do.
there you
But
go.
we're only 2 people. We want a third mind involved. And we're going to do overrated, underrated. So we were prepping her a little bit
Yeah.
there.
Coming right off the hot heels of her own wedding.
Well, yeah.
and having enough of a experience with it, I think she'll have a different take on it, or maybe the same take as a vendor. I don't know.
Can
So-
we make a score? Can we make a score on this?
Like how well I do. I'm a
No,
deep
not
thinker.
how well you do,
No.
but
Oh.
like there's some that we were differing on.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Like an
We'll
either.
come
Okay.
back to it. We'll
Okay.
put it on there.
Oh.
Give it
All
to
right, here we go. Overrated, underrated. Danielle, do you think bouquet tosses are overrated or underrated?
me. Like I said, I'm trying. I need a scale. I think they're underrated
Okay.
because some of my favorite photos
Yeah.
are from ladies losing their mind.
Got it.
Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
they're all just like, all depends. Every wedding's a bit different, but I love when one aunt like bustles through and just hammers through the crowd and girls go falling everywhere. And I'm just like
It
sitting
just
there.
stopped in the middle. That's okay. We can keep
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
for other angles.
And I'm just sitting there like giggling behind the camera because somebody's doing something crazy or they're on their backs. Like I like it when it's really competitive. And I feel like that whole 5 minutes we spent doing that produced me 30 laughable, crazy photos.
Gotcha.
So when
Okay.
people are like, oh, I don't really want to know, I'm like, change it up.
Yeah.
Do every woman.
Yeah.
Like not single, because a lot of people are like, I don't have that at my wedding. And I go, hey, it's a free flowers. Like, let's advertise it as free flowers. Like, ladies,
I like
come.
that perspective.
Perspective's different. And then you just get, I'm all in for that short, snappy, candid moments that are natural. I'm always thinking rounded gallery.
Right.
That is always funny. I've
Right.
never not had that not be hilarious. 5 minutes, add it to your day, change it up.
Right.
And-
So that makes sense.
And my perspective was just like, look, like people like
Give
it.
it 1 second. Can you pick that up, Hayden?
Oh, what? What's going on? No,
Hello. You
Oh.
walked into a middle of a podcast.
this is
You're
awesome.
good. You're great. No, you're good, Kristen.
I
knew you
love
were gonna
this.
come in. It's all good.
This is Brian.
All right, take care. Want to be on our podcast?
We had a first guest.
I've never heard your podcast.
That's great.
It's on Spotify for the record podcast.
Yeah.
When you're driving next
Now
time.
listen to
There you
it.
go.
great.
Edit this part out.
Yeah.
No, don't. No, we're keeping it in. It's 4
Bye.
guests in one podcast. That's
How dare
crazy.
we?
Okay, pause on the other ones.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
before the cameras cut off, we're talking about bouquet toss, and you said it looks really good. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So, I'll just kind of
Before-
redo that.
Okay, go
Um,
ahead. So bouquet
So
toss.
bouquet toss for me. I said like I understand people are afraid they'll have no one to stand up
Yep.
based off the crowd or whatever, but like a photographer's standpoint, sometimes we talked about maybe not. I usually have a section be like might do undecided game time decision. Like I have a section in my planning
Game time decision.
that was game time decision stuff
Right.
where it's like would be nice, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I allow that in my schedule for my brides,
Mhm.
and more bouquet toss is in there, always in there. So then I walk up, go to the DJ, and I've done this with you guys, and I say, okay, every woman on the dance floor, here's your one and only time to get a free bouquet, like specialty made,
Yeah.
like designer. It's kind of like getting a signed jersey of the bride type thing, and she's gonna toss it, and you got to fight for it. It all depends on how you sell it. So then when you have all these ladies, you have aunts, you have cousins, you have big, small, married or not married, that doesn't matter. And you have all these crazy ladies fighting for a bouquet and they've made it like you really got to sell it. Those photos are hilarious. Hilarious. If you do it traditionally and you don't have the people, overrated.
Got it.
But if you pull a little twist on it and you make it like a entertainment piece,
Right.
the photos are so funny. It rounds out the gallery nicely.
But I totally agree with you in terms of making something an entertainment piece.
Yeah.
Because there are some traditions that talk about certain songs, certain things
Yeah.
like that. You're like, oh, we got to do this again. But like, just change the outlook on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get it more
Spin
people
it.
involved.
Cool.
Yeah.
So she said
Okay.
underrated. We, I think, said
Overrated.
No,
I said
we said-
underrated.
he said underrated. I said it's properly rated if we have the right people.
Mhm.
So which again you could touch on both the points. Cool.
Sorry. Yeah.
On to the next one. Garter toss. Overrated or underrated?
Same thing.
Okay.
Because the guys at our age, like depending what, it's harder to wrangle in drunk men to do something. It's like herding cats. Girls are easier. The guys, not so much. Like, how are you gonna sell that? Here's something the brad's been wearing that's been smelly all day. Like, where are my panty sniffers? Come hither.
oh
No.
my God! Come hither.
But
Come
like,
hither. Oh
like
my
what are the guys gonna do
God.
with this thing?
I've
right?
never said come hither over the microphone.
Wow.
At a
Yeah.
wedding,
Or
but
panty
I might
sniffers.
have to. I might have to.
I love hither and I love saying peasants.
Oh God.
I don't know why. It just feels
That's
good.
good.
But the thing about that is, I think, and like this, like it is pretty much the garter toss only happens once a season for me.
Right.
It is like out the window. Like it.
So it's
has
going
been,
out the
It's been
window.
out.
Got
But
it.
the times that it has happened, there's been a funny twist to it once again,
Yep.
where more often than not, the bride's gonna ice the groom.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like she
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to do
yeah.
like
There's
the
a Smirnoff
ice-
vodka in there.
Yeah, right.
Got it.
And
Makes for
I
good
think
pictures.
once
Mhm.
again makes for good pictures. What if we? And I don't talk about it enough because I don't want to I have so many ideas for a bride. Sometimes I got to tone it down. And this is where I tone it down. If they say no, it's no. Because some people are just reserved. They don't want everyone to see someone going up their dress. Like, and I totally get that. Don't get me wrong.
And it's very much a personality thing too. If the couple
Yeah.
is not into it, they're not into it. So
No,
just forcing it is not going to
but get this though. Remember Bryn and Dylan's wedding?
Yeah.
So you could do a twist. They had all the groomsmen lined up and they had their pant leg up. Yeah, and she was blindfolded and she had to go fill all these hairy legs and pick her husband.
Uh-huh.
Right? So it would be funny if you took a garter and you she had to put the garter on the one she thought it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then
Totally different.
if she was
That's a
wrong,
totally different-
that guy got to wear it all night. And most of the time they wear it on their heads. And once again, it's turned into an entertainment piece. Yeah.
So take the traditional stuff and then twist it to make it a little more fun.
Yeah.
Again, same thing applies to bouquet toss, to which you touched on.
So, but if I got to choose one for like, what would you shoot every day and what would you like, what's too hard to perform? I would pick bouquet toss and I would get rid of.
Get rid of garter toss
Yeah.
altogether. Got it. All right. So there we go. So she said underrated, but
Ish.
ish.
Neutral.
Okay. So she was properly rated.
There you go.
Mhm.
All right. We both said overrated. So it's good.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm on the tip of that.
Flower girl ring bearer, overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'll give my reasoning. I could be neutral on probably all of these. So I'm trying hard to
Yeah.
like,
Well,
toss
I
it
just
up a
want
bit.
like straight up. Like, would you rather
Um,
do away with it, or would you want to have it in there? That's what
I
we're
would rather, do away with it, but
Mm.
there's always an exception, right?
Yep.
Do you remember Sarah? We shot Sarah and Cora's wedding, the
Yeah.
one we just brought up.
Mhm.
They had the grandma be the flower girl.
I
talked
said
about
the
this.
exact same thing. Yeah.
My favorite
Uh-huh.
flower girl I've
That's
ever
exactly
seen.
what I said.
Exactly.
I hope they listen to this and they're just like, oh my God, they brought up our wedding like 7 times. Like, she was hilarious.
100%.
I think we need to have video of her. So imagine this like a little old Betty. She's walking down with her walker and she's got flowers and she's just
Walker.
giving them like, appropriate little toss. Then she gets up to the front, takes a handful of flowers and just chucks them in people's faces. I think she did to the grooms, and she's just like blasting them with all her might, the rest of those flower petals. She turns around to the crowd and she just starts dumping her basket on someone and she's cackling away. And I don't even know if I pictured it correctly. Like, I'm just editing that wedding now because I was pissing myself laughing. I was like, that might have been one of my favorite things at a ceremony
100%.
because she had her best day
Yeah.
there. And I was like,
so true.
highly recommend.
100%.
Would shoot again.
Yeah.
And she's by far my favorite grandma I've come across. But why I would toss it away, I'm like, I love my nieces and nephews. I'm very close.
Yeah, here
I
we
love
go.
my daughter,
Here's my
right?
perspective. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is
Just
that
fuel me
I
up.
couldn't even imagine, like, so Blakely would have loved to be a flower girl.
Yeah.
In fact, they even had the dresses, like that kind of thing. But she, like, that would have been too much for her. She's 3 and she might have like loved it. It could have went one of 2 ways. She might have just came ripping down and had a ball, or she would have had her fingers in her mouth, chewing off her fingers and not leaving the door.
Yeah.
And to me, that wasn't worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because then I, as mom,
Mhm.
would be so stressed out about how she's doing. I probably ruined
Mm-hmm.
it for her.
Exactly.
100%.
And even though
Yes.
a lot of our flower girls and grooms, like whatever, they look cute. But my aspect, like, because like I said, I love my nieces and nephews, super close with them. I could have had them. I could have done that. But we did a 7 o'clock thing that was too late, like, bedtime thing. But it's so stressful. So even if you're asking for other people's kids to come, like, they still got to buy them an outfit. Right? They have to, that's that cost, nobody, like, some people don't care because it's fun to do for your kid. Like, I'll spend more money on my
It's
kid
funny
then.
because you touched on both our points at
Yeah.
the same time when it comes
And
to
then-
So
I
he
s-
said,
I said there's got to be an application
yeah.
process.
Yeah.
I said, like, you got like these like 2-year-olds that are walking
Yeah.
down the aisle, like throwing a fit in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're getting stressed. The bride's getting stressed. Like, is it happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
Did they walk or not? And all
But
that stuff.
then,
And
you guys,
have your own kids. You can
that
put the two.
happens like 4 to 5 times. But then there's the 5th time where these kids are hilarious and they add to the entertainment of going down the aisle. As long as they're having a good,
rough odds, 1 out of 5.
well,
20% chance you're gonna risk that.
no, but like when they do, okay, if they do a really good job, if the kids like just walk down and they're the appropriate age where they can do the job, it's cute, but like they didn't add much to your wedding day. Like, probably expense the parents, right? But then if it's important for you to be in the picture, if you're like, that's my niece, she's 6, she's gonna do a good job, but I want her in the picture, You do you.
Yeah, 100%.
I understand that. But if you're sitting there and you feel like, oh, I need to do this because I have a
And then you have to
1-year-old
think
niece and
about
nephew and a
who to
3-year-old,
bring,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Yep.
or dress them up and just put them in family photos.
Right.
Like, I don't know. So I'm going to say that it is a bit overrated, but I respect it and I'm always excited to shoot it no
Yes.
matter what happens.
Fair enough.
But I just think like it's stressful on the parent side of things, whether or not it's your kid coming down the aisle from a bride or from a groom or from just somebody in the crowd.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Next one.
Understood. Next one. Champagne Tower. Overrated or underrated?
I've only seen it once at a wedding. I've had some people plan it, but like not execute it. Like they say they're going to do it, but then it didn't happen. So for me, all depends. If you're going to do it, make it super bougie, make it tall, right? Yeah.
It is
he's
so
freaking
funny
out. He's freaking
because
out
you
over here.
haven't listened to the podcast.
No, I have not.
And this coming out of you just makes it that much better.
Like,
But
no,
let's
let her
go.
finish. Let her finish. Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
it's the champagne tower thing is taking over the cake cut, right? So instead of doing a cake cut, which I still love,
Interesting.
the champagne tower. But if you're just gonna do like this, like I think if you're gonna do it, plan out the pictures that you want with it.
Yeah.
Right. So make it tall. Like I've done one where it was like this, and I was like, it was cute because behind the story of the bottles, they had a reason to what they were
Yeah.
doing. Perfect.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it for pictures, send it. Make it like splash it,
Yeah.
do 2 bottles,
Yeah.
kissing the background, be prepared to get splashed, right? Have your bridal party run up and start adding bottles. Like make it a big
Thing.
ordeal
Yeah.
because it's like the new version of the cake cut. Or make it like if you're having like a garden party wedding that is like extremely elegant, absolutely pour it elegantly, but it's still got to be like pretty tall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm with you. Okay. So you
Okay.
just went over all this stress here, all
Yeah.
this, the hubbub that's got to go about it. So back to overrated, underrated. Like all this saying, like, man, if you're gonna do it, it could be a blast. It could be a fun time.
Yeah.
Is it worth all that?
Is it overrated?
Is it overrated or underrated?
Okay. I have a conditional response.
Okay.
If you are trying to fit in everything to your wedding day that is trendy
Yeah.
and you're only doing it because you're like, well, I feel like I need to because it's like a thing, overrated.
Okay.
If you're doing it because we're not doing a cake cut and this represents like our party theme and like this is our trade-off or like this is, just we're adding this into the schedule in lieu of something else and we're ready to have fun with it, perfect for you.
Got it.
Is that an okay answer?
It's like you're playing Switzerland, but that's
I know.
okay.
I'll play Switzerland. I'll call
I know, I know,
no
I know,
worries.
I know.
Because like, I don't know, you guys are men.
Yeah.
At
I-
what point in your wedding planning, right, Joey, where you're just like, oh my God, babe, we need a perfect cake for cake cut? Not a chance. You do not care about
we're
all the
getting
things
there.
that we
Okay.
care
How
about.
about let's not get ahead of ourselves. So
We're getting there.
Yeah.
So in one word, if you look at a champagne tower at a wedding and you have only thing is we're doing a champagne tower and that's it. Like that's all you got information wise, and the client's not prepared, whatever. Overrated, underrated. Champagne tower.
No information. Just like
Just,
you
one
heard
or
they're
two.
having a
Pick one.
Underrated.
Underrated. All right, that's good.
Okay.
Cool. Let's go.
Like, probably because I haven't shot a lot. So I'm
fair
like
enough.
still excited.
It's a
to-
pictures thing for you,
Yeah.
but like I just see that as like my big thing. He's just like, you never seen one before, and I'm like, no.
I've seen 3 this year.
Yeah.
I'm like, so
I think it's like the new cake cut, in my
it
opinion.
just sounds like
He
too
said
much.
it was overrated.
It's
too much
overrated,
work,
and,
yeah.
and there's too much to go wrong.
Yeah.
And I said, if you think of those weddings,
Yeah.
was the like, there's so many more memorable things.
Mhm.
Oh,
about
for
that
sure.
day.
100%.
Absolutely. 100%.
And it sounds like if you're gonna make it, like,
But that's like that doubles with a cake cut.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
same thing.
Well,
So going
carry
on to
over
the
this
next
cake cut.
question: cake cutting, overrated or underrated?
Underrated. Everybody still needs to do it. Sorry.
What? What?
I'll tell you why.
No.
Yeah. I'll
We
tell you
both
why.
said overrated.
well,
Okay.
I know,
Okay.
I can know what she's gonna
It-
say, but she's wrong.
Well, I think too, you guys, we think that, I think why people aren't doing a cake cut is the expense of it. Weddings are expensive. Now I got to go buy a cake just for a photo. Okay, no, but the trend is go to co-op, get your heart white cake and just do the thing. And nobody eats the cake. I'm very well aware of that. But it's that, so when, big bridal party, whatever, they get food first and there's a lull.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a lull where everybody at the head table is sitting there looking at their phones, being like, oh, like there's that lull where you're full but you're not drunk, like whatever. It's perfect to set up the cake cut It makes the bride and groom get up, just kind of gives them a reset. They get to do something fun together, and then they sit back down. It kills time.
Right.
For me, it's a time killer. Now, when I do a cake cut, I really highly recommend it, and it is in my wedding guide. It does not need to be announced. And then how I've been setting up my cake cuts now is the angle that I'm shooting is their entire weddings in the background. Like, I'm not doing it against a wall. It's like a whole wide shot of them having a moment with all their guests behind them. So I always find it quite beautiful. And I know I get 50-50. Some brides are like, yeah, like, screw me up here. Let's get cake all over each other. And some brides are like, not a chance. Both turn out perfectly.
Yeah. No,
So
I
you
like
know-
that. I like that aspect of
Yeah.
the
Yeah. So you know how everyone's like dip down the aisle and it doesn't always work out. Like sometimes you get a boob or a crotch shot. We can remedy how that went around at nighttime with that cake cut shot. That's why I'm like, and your cake can be $12.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my
From-
biggest piece is like, why spend $1,000?
No.
It's so dumb.
No.
And then you're gonna buy other desserts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Like, if you're gonna do cake, people better eat it.
You know what's
Yeah.
funny is actually, I'm just finishing up a gallery right now. She let the groom pick the cake, and he was not on the memo of what a wedding cake was be.
Oh my gosh.
It was, you guys, I kid you not. And when she saw it, like she had no idea. When she saw it, she like pissed herself laughing. I pissed myself laughing. And she said to me, and I was like quite worried. I was like, "Ooh, this could be a moment," because like I get that like he messed this up.
What was it?
Just wait. She pissed herself laughing and said, "This is absolutely perfect. I love it." He picked for their wedding cake because that's like was his only job, plus like moving the alcohol.
Oh,
And of
please.
course, do you think he forgot about this? 100%. 100%. Dairy Queen ice cream cake Oreo.
That's
that
wonderful.
And then
is
get this, it gets better.
awesome.
So one of the guests sees it and cuts into it because like surely that can't be their wedding.
Yes.
And she's like, "That's my wedding cake." She's like, "Really?" That's what the guest said. I was like, "Ooh."
So
and then so I
turn the
photoshopped
cake
it.
away.
I photoshopped it out.
Uh,
And you know what? That whole like, and it's 15 photos, like 10 or 15 photos. They giggled. They were
the
giggling
best
about
$22
this.
you've ever spent.
Yeah. They were giggling the entire time,
Oh,
and I was
gosh.
just there for it.
It's like
And that's why
Dairy
I was just
Queen
like,
ice cream cake.
you know
Man, it's a
what? And it
legend.
doesn't have to be the most, it's not the cake in the picture. I'm never like focused on the cake. Like my focal is on the couple, and it's just like how they interact with each other. And like a lot of times, because it's not like on video focus, I'm yelling things at them, and then they start laughing, and then it's just the cutest little
I
photo.
just want to fill in
So-
the gaps on that
He
story.
said he
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
he would rather have delicious.
I want a cake that like that you say, "Hey, grandma, can you make me a cake?"
Yeah.
That's like just not
Yes.
fondant and
Yep.
this and that.
Yeah.
But here's how this guy's day went. He was like, "Oh shit, I forgot the cake."
Yeah.
So he's like in his full tux. He's in line at the Dairy
Maybe.
Queen on Park and
That's how I
Park and
imagine it
18th.
went for
It's like,
Dawson.
he's just like,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, can I get what do you got?
What do you got?
Oh,
Cake.
we got one left. Yeah,
It
it says "Happy Birthday, Danielle" on it. That's fine.
Yeah. Can we scrape off?
the Daniel and the,
The
happy
Daniel.
birthday.
Can we just leave the
With
happy?
birthday.
That's happy in the corner. That's so good. It is a different color. Oh man.
But I just thought that was special.
That's
and
good.
like people often have like other people make them cakes. Going back to my own wedding, Duncan playing the music, right? I was like, but it was Duncan. It wasn't
Yeah.
the music that
It
was
was
special.
who was playing it. Yeah.
It was who
Who
was
made it?
playing it.
Yeah,
Yep.
100%.
And I have that on video, and like I have documentation of Duncan,
Mhm.
and like I'm sorry, I'm so morbid, but my friends, like, why it was important that Ronnie officiated. How many pictures do I have of me and Ronnie? Like one, right? And we
know
don't
why.
make a
You're
point.
looking at me like I know.
We don't make a point
Joey,
of taking.
how many pictures of Ronnie and I do you have? No,
Yeah,
none.
yeah.
I have no
But-
idea.
No, I know, but like, so now, if something were to ever happen to Ronnie, I have. Ronnie's like, I'm gonna die. No, I have coverage of me and him.
If you don't see me after this podcast,
That's because she killed me to make her video worth more. Just joking.
the
No,
video
I-
the video needed emotional value.
So for me, like, I was just like,
yeah, it's for memories. And again, coming from a picture
Yeah.
background too, you understand the importance of it. So it makes sense.
yeah. So
Cool.
sorry that wasn't the answer you're looking
No,
for. But-
cake underrated. She
Let's
said.
move on to the
Underrated.
next one.
But
Let it be
that's-
known the person who said cake is underrated. She did not have cake at her wedding.
I honestly, it was like such an afterthought.
Uh,
that I ran out of time.
Okay,
Yep.
here, outdoor weddings, underrated or overrated? And when I say outdoor, I want to know first your definition of outdoor. Do you think it's just tents is outdoor, or would you say like under the stars, like bistro lights, dance floor in the middle, outdoor. So which one would you like, and what is your definition?
Let's
of
go
outdoor?
tent because Bistro Lights Under the Stars, like that's more of a United States thing where the weather like stays nicer longer. I don't have a bunch of just like I actually have never shot one that isn't in a tent when we consider
Yeah.
it outdoor. So
Got
I
it.
have to go tent wise.
Got it. Cool. So outdoor weddings in a tent, underrated, overrated.
Underrated. I love them.
Okay,
I don't know. I always love them.
that's cool.
Also, too, photography stance. Tents are easier to shoot at lighting wise because it can bounce my flash.
Lights off.
So
That's
I
cool.
don't know, photographer stance. I'm like, anytime, like I've gotten to the point where I only have so many weekends I'm gonna shoot, and like, it sounds terrible, but I do ask you where your venue is because if it's like a tent, I'm more inclined to say yes because I like it. I just
Fair
like them, and also like tent gives a vibe of a party.
Yeah.
It's like
And
these
it
people
feels
are.
a little more intimate. And,
Yeah.
And then the place has more value to the couple and
Yeah.
whatnot. Cool. On to the next one. Live band. Overrated, underrated.
Okay, I've only recently switched my opinion on this based off that bride I was telling you about last episode where she was like, this is so important to me. Had you'd asked me before that experience, I would have said overrated. You don't need it. No one pays attention to it. Like, but get this, any couple that now that I have to think about this, been forced to think about it, that has had a live band at their wedding, did not leave the dance floor.
Yes.
That was their thing. They did not they barely wanted sunset pictures. It was super important to them.
DJs suck.
So, yeah.
That's what you said. DJs
sorry.
suck, man.
Sorry,
No.
but so my thing to that
Take it.
is Switzerland on that answer, properly rated, because if the couple wants it, they really want it. And if they don't, if they think it's something that they need that they don't really want, then don't get it.
So, fair enough.
Right? So like couples that want live bands, they're willing to spend more on a live band than they are on a photographer.
We had a sale actually not long ago that I didn't personally, bad salesman, persuaded them to not go through because they were like humming and hawing for a long time. Well, I'm just not sure. They're just trying to decide on a band, if we're going to do a band or not. We're not really sure we want to do a band. It was a month. I texted them back. I'm like, look, like at this point, I would recommend you get a band because you are like, if you're trying to find, like, I can help you, I can give you references if that's what you're worried about. But like, I think you want a band.
I think it's like because you're really committing, and both are big expenses. And I think if you're leaning towards like, if you're, music people are music people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I can think of a couple people where it's like their whole entire family plays an instrument.
So then it makes
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm with Switzerland on that.
Yeah.
A band wouldn't have done anything for me.
But you would put it as properly rated.
I'd properly, because the couples that I've had a band were so into their band.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Cool. So she's used her properly rated on the live brand. Now, number 8, and this is what me and him had the most argument about.
Yep.
And
give it
I
to me.
know what your answer is going to be because I know.
Yep.
Open bar, underrated or overrated?
Underrated.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's
Before
go.
I want to hear your opinion on it. I want you to listen to my stance and just tell me if I'm right or wrong. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's let her finish her
don't-
opinion
don't-
and then tell her.
Yeah.
No.
I don't want to be swayed.
No,
Okay.
you aren't swayed. You're an open bar, and I know the reasons why someone says open bar. Would I be correct in saying that a lot of issues, in terms of guest experience and behavior at weddings, is influenced by over alcohol consumption?
I don't know. Like I've never seen anything.
From a
They're gonna
so let's
do
say
it with or
organizing.
without. If the people are like the way that they are, they're gonna do it with
Sure.
or without an open bar.
Okay,
Oh,
if
I-
those certain people, sure, okay.
Yeah.
So
You do with
would
it
you
with the rep.
think, from a bridal party perspective and organizing, let's say a sparkler exit, because that's the time where they've indulged a little bit in the open bar, and then you're trying to do a sparkler exit. Is it hard dealing with a wedding party that has
God,
been
yeah.
a part of open bar, or is it hard?
Oh, it's
with
the same.
it's
Like
the
I said, for me, like I don't know if it's my age and like if I was 25, maybe like if we were 24, 23, and we maybe wouldn't drink as much because you have to pay for it, right? And you didn't have money. But when we're our age at like 30 some, like it's not like I'm not ever. It's the same for me.
So
Like I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, open bar, I have to take advantage of that. I don't do that at my age. Whereas like if it's not an open bar, I'm still drinking the same amount because like I have the means to do
so
that.
with that being said, and
Yeah.
as someone you've said multiple times, you're very cost effective and
I am.
aware, right?
More so like with other, I don't want anyone to spend money on me. Like myself, I'm willing to spend money.
Okay, so I guess that's where
Yeah.
there's thing. Like my big thing is, I see more problems than positives with an open bar in terms of wedding experience.
And I also think because we get to stay longer than she does at a wedding to see the absolute
Issues,
chaos.
yeah.
It's-
Right?
Like you're ending at
So
1
we
o'clock.
are-
If he ever agrees with me on
Yeah.
this, which he won't, but he sees my perspective
Yeah.
where I think like my big thing is a toonie bar.
Mhm.
Toonie bar. If you say that and you also give them a couple drink tickets when they come in, like if they bring $20 and they get a couple free drinks, like they're drinking as much as they need.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't even using those tickets. Like there's plenty of liquor.
But, yeah.
And you also minimize your costs substantially.
Right.
But
So
my
go
opinion,
back to your opinion and what happened at your wedding.
okay, we did an open bar. I don't know. I don't think it was that terrible. I mean, there's like 1 or 2 that came drunk. So there's that. But like, also,
yeah,
it's
our
like,
video guys, as they were leaving, they went to the bathroom before they left and they found some guy face in the urinal. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't even like, it was like 10:15 and they're like, hey Joey, when you leave, let me know if
Yeah.
there's still a guy out there.
so that Pacific guy is hilarious and always like that. So like when I I think of inviting him, I'm like, oh, that's always just like a fun party trick. Like, where are we gonna find him tonight? So that didn't bother me. Or I actually expected more of that.
Right.
And like that person's coming drunk. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
yeah.
already half cut when they
Fair
got
enough.
there type thing. So for me, and like to eat, I think this open bar thing is gonna be nobody's wrong, right?
No.
But like, so you have to know my background for this, like to be like, okay, my family, like we're farmers. I don't know if Ukrainian plays a part in it, but maybe. But
Probably.
we, yeah,
Ukrainian,
After
definitely.
she's done this, you tell me, does
Yeah.
Ukrainian play a part in this drinking factor?
Okay.
Typically.
So, like, when I go over to my Bubba's house, who barely spoke English, you hungry? You eat more. You thirsty? You eat more. You take. Like, our thing is hosting.
Right.
Like, oh, you hungry? You take all this stuff. Like, we couldn't have someone hungry at our house. Like, you have to feed these people. You have to, like, you come to my house as my guest. Like, I provide for you.
Right.
And that was something I grew up around.
Right.
But then keep in mind, which is the 380 from what I'm talking about, is like, we actually just like, we live to work. My family, we don't ever have anyone over. Like, I'm talking like on my hands, like we have a couple family friends and we're too busy working. And like, you see that if you know me, you're like, that checks out. But when we do, like if you randomly show up for coffee, like you were staying till 12 o'clock at night, completely need a ride home. We have all the stuff ready for if someone comes over, but we never have anyone over. So it's hosting, I guess. And maybe it's more for my parents. I know Shane's parents were like, oh, don't do an open bar. My parents were like, and they invited nobody, like not even one friend. They had no wants or needs for this wedding whatsoever. It was about us. And they were like, I think that your guests need an open bar, because he's like, you're inviting them there like they're your guests. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and for me, I see that point too, because I've actually recently, since we built our house, I've hosted some girls' nights and stuff. And the girls always walk in and they're like, oh my gosh, there's like, I have all the liquor, I have all the booze, like I have everything. You just need to show up. And they're like, why do you do this? Like, this wasn't cheap. And I said, I don't do this often. But if I've asked you to come give up your night with your kid, whatever, I want to make sure that it was worth it for you.
And that's how I grew up too. Is like if we're
Yeah.
bringing people over, they're
You
coming
provide.
with
Yeah.
empty stomachs and thirsty. We're filling them up, and then
Yeah,
we're having
it's
the best
like a
time possible.
hosting
Yeah.
aspect for me.
And that's
And then also, like, I didn't know what my open bar bill was going to be. Like, I just kind of that was my willy-nilly situation where it's like, well, I'll just pay the bill, whatever it is. Like, happen what may. I have a good guess, but like, we'll see what happens. But I was prepared for that. Like, it could have been high, it could have been low, and I was okay with
right.
it. I was
and
mentally,
that's
it was
that's
like,
knowing
I'm willing.
that we're hosting it. We're doing this. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Fair
like,
enough.
so just wait, I want to top
Yeah.
that off though. Also, that was more important to me. The open bar was like my one half, right? And yes, let's say I was working with a budget, because I feel like some people were like, no, I have my budget and I have lots of wants. And if it doesn't fit in there, that's okay. But for me, that was my want. And then there was everything else. And the other part to it too is like, did it impact my guest list? Maybe, but
Yeah, and I think my
I was okay with
perspective is because I know how much money people put into their weddings, right? Like if you can allocate costs to other things, like if someone says, "Man, I really want Danielle at my wedding, and I really
Want
want
an open bar.
I want open bar, and I really want this," and you have to pick, like you
You
can't
have to
have all
make
those
it work.
things.
That's one way to make it
So I'm
work.
like, hey, let's make it work. Like I described,
Yeah.
I was actually just talking to this person, right? They had free booze during cocktail hour.
Yeah.
And then they when they went in, they had wine on the table. But then the rest of the night, if you wanted a extra drink, then you had to pay $2.
I never walk into a wedding and be like, oh, it's not an open bar. No, I don't
you
even. I
No,
don't
and
think
that's
that way.
fair.
It's just like I've never thought that
You
way.
talk to my wife, and she will absolutely die on that hill of if it's not open bar, we're not doing anything. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's how
I
she
see
grew
the
up.
hosting
And that's
aspect.
that's
I
how
see
she
the
grew
hosting.
up too,
I do.
right? And
Yeah.
her dad, we got
Do you think
married.
it's a cultural thing, maybe?
100%.
Okay.
Like you go to a Polish wedding,
Yeah.
you better believe
It's an open bar.
there's shots coming in all day, all night.
Well, that was our wedding.
Right? And oh fuck. Like
Yeah.
And that's how
We
like
had a lot of
her
shots.
dad was like my wife said she said we're gonna get married during COVID. We're like less people, cool. We don't have to deal with a lot of people. Again, it's 290 people in there still. But
Yeah.
and he goes, the venue said we can't have liquor. I'm like, yeah, we can't have liquor. We both were okay with it. He said, you're not getting married in that venue. We're
Yeah.
doing a different venue wherever they'll
Yeah.
let us have a bar.
Yeah.
And we go, it's a
big
reception.
deal,
They're
yeah.
gonna be there for 6 hours. Like,
Yeah, whatever.
no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like he
Mhm.
was like, this is not happening
I'm
if
not
there's no
hosting
liquor.
this. Yeah.
I'm not inviting any of my family or friends if we don't have liquor. So that was more like he's like had to have it. So
Yeah, and that's the hosting part of me.
Yeah.
Like my wedding, I was like to the girls, show up with your dresses and your shoes. I got your jewelry. I've got all your liquor and all your food for the day. Same with the guys. I have all that. The coolers are packed. Like I had mimosa bars. Said
yeah,
like, this is a
it
hosting
is.
thing.
It is
Yeah.
definitely that.
Yep.
But cool.
Yep.
Good to know.
We got
Okay.
2 more.
On
She's got to get
two
to her
more.
hair appointment. We got 2 more.
Yeah.
Oh, right. She's got 15
I was
minutes.
joking.
All right. Changing last names. Overrated, underrated.
Shane should be here for this because
Yeah.
he has a very strong feelings.
Oh.
I don't care. I personally am Switzerland on it. Whatever.
Properly rated.
I've recently changed my opinion on this. So get this, and this probably doesn't make me look good, but here we are. When we, after it B, I kept bugging him. You know how girls like drop their hints about engagement, right? Like, right, I'm like, oh my God, like this ring's nice. Mine was just like, you know, it should be really nice to have the same last name as my child. Like on repeat. It's going to be, every time we go to an airport, it's you and your daughter plus this other woman. Like, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just look like I home wrecked. This, where is Mrs. Weeb? She's probably at home because you're with your hooker at the airport with your kid. And he's just like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, this is what the people are going to think. So at first I was like, if we don't have the same name, like we are not a family to the public eye. Like this is important to me.
There is a convenience sake for it. Like I understand if you want to
Yeah.
keep your own name as a woman, all the power to
Yeah.
you. But there is a unity
so
thing
then
about it.
so then like push came to shove, we're going on this Utah thing, right? And he just assumed like, yeah, it's Mrs. Weeb. Because I think we were driving somewhere and someone asked, he's like, yeah, she's taking my name, Mrs. Weeb. I'm like, am I?
Yeah.
Am I? Like I just got like
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though I'm the one that mentioned it like 3 years before that.
Yeah.
I was like, interesting. Don't tell me what to do. But anyway, so I got to it and I was like, this is like sad. My identity's gone. He's like, okay, Danielle, like calm down. And I started having this like last like I don't know, this identity crisis with losing my name. I was like, my name is all I know. And he's like,
and you
stop it.
especially too. Your name is on the
Because
business, and
The
you-
name
and
is on my
that's-
business.
and
So then
that's much
Shane
more-
goes, I think if it affected your work, then I could see why you would want to keep your name, you know, like a doctor. And I was like, not like a business owner.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, doctor, whatever, like where you're so well known by that name. And I was like, but that's me too. Like I am.
Yeah, the brand
like people,
is Daniel Pilatic.
It's Danielle Plottick. You hear that name and you know exactly who that is. And I think changing it is just a kerfuffle.
Right.
And he's like, is this like, are you more so feeling this way because it's your business? Like, how do you actually feel about it personally? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's the business part. He's like, well, just keep that all the same because my, like all my registration for corporate and
Businesses
stuff is
are,
all
yeah.
under Plottick. He's like, no one says that actually has to change, but just if you change your name, just do it at your, you know, work. Do it when you sign your checks. Like it's okay if it's different.
Yeah.
And I was like, a lot of these like stars, that's not their real name.
No, true.
Right?
100%. They still keep their
They
Jennifer
have
Lopez
like,
is still Jennifer Lopez after she got married to Mark
Yeah.
Anthony, Ben
Yeah.
Affleck. It's still the same thing.
Or some of them like get a new last name just because it sounds better, but
Yeah.
they still technically go by their
You know
real
what
name.
what I have a hard time with? People who hyphenate names. You just made your name
'Kay.
double time longer.
So then Shane, so that was his other problem. I was like, let's hyphenate our kids' names. It's just a joke. Sometimes I say stupid shit to him just to get a rise out of him, but I'm not serious
Good
at all.
wife. That's good, right?
Yeah,
Good
like I
wife.
think we all do that for
So she
sure.
is okay with changing names.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Cool.
So get this though, the hyphenation. Shane's like, when does that stop for a child? So what if our girls are like, that's cool, I want to hyphenate? He's like, the name will be like
Oh, I love that.
4 pages long.
We Polatic Smith.
Yeah. Like he's like, when
It's
does
3?
it stop?
Exactly,
He's
it
like, this
doesn't.
is why you write family trees down so
Yeah.
you don't need to keep hyphenating.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
And
enough.
he's like, it's fine.
Cool.
Anyway, go on.
Last one.
one.
How important is a wedding guest attire? Do they show up formal or not to a wedding?
I don't even know. I don't know. I think
Overrated or underrated? Guest attire. Formal attire, overrated or underrated?
it's underrated because like if you come like sorry, like having a hard time answering this one. I'm trying to like think of what angle you mean it by, but
So, like, if you want a wedding guest to show up to your wedding, do you want them to be dressed well
yes,
or do you want them in
casual,
casuals?
dress well.
Okay.
I think it's a respect thing.
That's fine. I'm with you. I agree, Ronnie.
But if
All
they
right.
don't or that's not them,
What is
that's-
your definition of dressed well?
For a guy, I'll speak for the guys. I don't know about
Yeah.
the women. I think if you're getting invited to a wedding, pants, shirt, and a jacket is necessary
okay?
at the very least.
Pants, shirt, like a collared shirt, like one button
Yes.
down, nice pants and dress shoes.
To this, I ask:
Yeah.
Are they selling insurance at your wedding? No.
Yeah.
I feel like a jacket is important to a formal, at least the
A
ceremony
formal.
part of
Okay,
it.
yes and no, but all depending. Like if you're standing in 40 plus heat, take the jacket off.
Common sense. Like,
Yes.
Ronnie, you don't understand.
You know what?
He's always, you got to dress for the occasion. It's a wedding.
I got
Yeah.
champagne tower. You got dressed.
It doesn't
I'll give
matter.
it to you.
I understand. Like, if it is,
There's no part of me that like so. My wedding, one guy just dressed how he dressed every day with his like jeans and hat and shirt tucked in. I walked up to him and was like, couldn't dress up, eh?
Yeah, like,
I
okay,
just
sure.
cracked the joke and he smiled and chuckled. And I like made a couple other jokes, but did it actually bother me? Absolutely not. Right.
Mhm.
But what I've noticed, Joey walking in without a jacket and Ronnie and being like, somebody cares more. Absolutely not. I would never notice the
No,
jacket thing.
I just because I feel like it's a requirement is what I feel like in a sense of I
Mhm.
guess weather, I guess everything. But if you're a groomsman or wearing jacket and standing up there, if the wedding's like the groomsman, I feel like as a guy, I feel like a jacket is necessary at least for the ceremony part.
You know what's
After
funny,
the ceremony,
though?
take off the jacket,
Yeah, but
hang
now
out,
we're
whatever.
having a trend, is especially in
Yes.
these summers weddings, is the suspenders, no
and how are you
jackets for
gonna?
the guys.
And how are you gonna plan that? Are you gonna call up the bride and hey, what
What's
are
the guys wearing?
Yeah, what are they wearing?
Well, don't like a legit guest for dress code is a thing.
No, yes or no? Like, okay, so I did actually
I
because we were
told you
doing
last
a
time too.
later.
Lori's invite had a dress code on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, formal attire.
Okay.
Okay, so
no,
did she
I'm-
just shit on anybody who didn't have a jacket?
Well, no, because everybody
Everybody came. For the most
everybody
part.
came with the jacket. Most of them did,
so
at
that's-
least. Yeah.
Okay,
Most of them. Okay.
But let me put it this way. I actually had a lot of people panicking on what to wear to my wedding. They're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know. Because it like says
It's
like
7 p.m.
7 p.m. like, and you said bring your party shoes. So does that mean party attire?
Yeah.
Like I did have people, I had actually like a good chunk
People.
of people being like, what are we supposed to wear? So then part of me is like I don't want to tell people to go out and buy things. Like mine is always that,
Yes.
like I don't want anyone to spend too much
Inconvenience
money on me or
Yeah,
inconvenience
but if you
anyone.
tell someone formal
Yeah.
attire, that's fine.
I also think it's to play it safe if you're a guest, just wear formal. You're never gonna look super dumb.
Yeah,
like
but
you're gonna
sure,
look like you're
But just say formal and don't have like further subcategories within that.
semi-formal, no jacket.
Exactly.
Ronnie.
Formal plus jacket. Yeah. If you're a grown ass
alright,
man, no,
alright.
there's no way. Especially
Yeah.
the weather thing is huge.
Yeah.
The weather thing is huge. If it's middle of winter, someone says formal, I'm almost as a
And,
man
like-
looking for an excuse to wear a jacket. Like that's
Yeah.
great. But he's saying, oh, it's like, well, you just keep it on for the Oh, it's hot? We'll just keep it on for the ceremony, then take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just
Well,
scattered suit jackets
And I
everywhere.
see, and I just
Everywhere.
like sit there and I'm like, okay, from pregnancy to older ladies, like I just think of like, okay, if you have an older crowd and they're coming from the home to get to your wedding and you put formal in there, they never have an opportunity to go buy anything
Right.
formal. Do they need to? No. So if like my grandma shows up, I don't have one, in her shirt and her best pants, that's okay with me.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it weird or uncomfortable for her.
Yeah.
If a pregnant girl shows up and she's wearing what she has,
Yeah.
because that's all she has, and she's having a day, wants to take a nap, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to inconvenience anyone. It's to me, the wedding
guess-
isn't really about the outfits.
I guess there you have it, ladies
more
and
about
gentlemen. Overrated, underrated.
Did we settle anything?
Danielle's.
No.
Did we
Danielle-
settle anything? Did Danielle really make us
I
feel
think
better?
Danielle accepted to everything that we did, except the bouquet toss. Bouquet toss, we called it overrated. Oh, sorry, garter
Yeah.
toss, we called it overrated, and bouquet toss, we called it underrated. She properly rated bouquet toss and rather do away with garter toss. So I
Yeah.
think,
Most.
Yeah, I think.
but the
that-
rest of the things she agreed with all of our.
I think she really gave some really cool perspectives.
Yes.
Like we covered, it's funny. I was like, man, we talked about every aspect of those things. And then she comes in, but what about this? I'm like, oh,
We did
damn.
not
Okay,
think
what
about
was
that.
it? What was there? I want to know. What was like one thing or like, I understand that. Like you didn't think about different perspectives.
Like just trying to make an entertainment out of make it entertaining for
different
cake
strategies for
cutting.
entertainment.
Yeah.
So,
For cake cutting, we
I'm
both
with we're like, yeah, well, we don't want to, if you're not, your wedding doesn't have a bunch of
young women or whatever.
women, and they're
unsingle.
like, well, just don't do that.
Don't
I'm like,
do
I've
it.
never seen that. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, just
Or-
change it up. Or
include everybody in
bouquet.
there.
Another thing is a bouquet dedication.
Yeah.
So they're like doing an eternity dance or whatever, infinity dance, where it's like you dance and then whoever's left gets the bouquet based off of how long they've been married for.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's always like
Yeah.
if you're a girl that's like all about traditional things, but you're worried that you don't know how to make it fit in your day or people won't be into it, start twisting them.
There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 11, Overrated, Underrated, Danielle edition. And
Danielle edition.
I like it.
we got through that. But thank you again for tuning in on this week's episode. Follow us on Trident Event Group at TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. And also 5 stars on Spotify, please. Apparently that's a thing. So if you can, really appreciate that.
Now we're
I'm gonna
asking
go do
people
it
of
right
our
now.
guests. No,
It's 5 stars.
Danielle would never ask anything of her.
Yes.
No, never.
No,
No,
we do
Danielle
wanna- that would
wouldn't.
inconvenience.
Except for the
That
5
would
stars.
inconvenience you. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want it to cost you any money, but you know what? 5 stars doesn't.
Well, 5 stars is free. You heard it here.
You guys want to hear a unique way of saying coffee?
Of saying coffee?
Yes.
No, I want to hear a unique way of saying muffin.
Oh.
Tell them,
That's a whole nother episode,
Tell
but go
them.
ahead.
Tell them.
Okay, well, sure, we can switch that up. So, unique way of saying coffee, muffin edition. Whenever I go to Tim Hortons and I ask for if I'm looking at a muffin over the drive-through, they're like, anything else? I'm like, yeah, what do you guys got for muffs?
Yeah. He says that. I need to travel more with this guy. Like I said, I just want to be on a fly on the wall when he brings this shit up. What do you guys got for muffs? Next time he goes, you guys got any beavers? We don't know. We don't know.
You want to hear?
Okay.
Okay, I gotta tell this, and then we get going. I went through a thing. I don't know. I've matured. I don't have as many shenanigans anymore, Danielle. So
Interesting. Some people don't think
thing
that
I would
way.
do for drive-throughs is I go up there, I make my order, and they're like, anything else? And I order. I say, hey, before I go, can I ask you something? They're like, sure. And I say, what's your favorite song? And they go, what? I'm like, if you could hear any song right now, what song would you want to hear?
Oh my God, do you
So
sing
they
it?
tell me a song. I pull that bad
Oh,
boy
no,
up.
the phone.
I crank it, and I pull up to the window, and then go on, and they're like, and they don't know what to do. It's amazing.
Here's the best part.
Amazing.
Can you imagine Joey driving off like, I made somebody's day. I'm amazing. And they're being like, I had the weirdest experience.
And sometimes it's that. My favorite one
100%.
was someone was like, I asked them, they're like, what? I'm like, what's your favorite song? If you could hear any song right now, they're like, I don't have time for this. Pull up to the window. I'm like, oh.
You need a
Okay.
song.
All right, I need a song. I should have put like something in the arms of an angel. Like it's a sad song.
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
It's little touches.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Close it out.
Danielle, say ka-chow.
Good job.
Whoa.
Some vibrato there.
There's
That
a
was
little
amazing.
vibrato
I don't know what
in
that
there.
means. I don't know what
Let's
that means.
go. Okay, you're getting late for
Yeah.
your appointment. Go.
Okay.
Send you all.